Banjo Kazooie. Yep, you've heard that name a lot since the talks of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate first started. But who are they? And why would anyone care? Well, that's what we're here to discuss today as Weekend Moblin goes over a quick history of Banjo and Kazooie and what led to them getting into Smash. Banjo Kazooie was a 3D platformer / collectathon, much like Mario 64, but without having to exit the level between collecting stars, or in this case, jigsaw pieces. The game centers around a laid-back bear, Banjo, and a smart-mouthed bird, Kazooie, and an evil witch Gratilda, which finds out about Banjo's younger sister and wants her youth so she can become the fairest maiden in the land. She wastes no time in kidnapping her and forcing Banjo and Kazooie to go on a quest to save her, with the help of a mole named Bottles to teach you all your moves, and a witch doctor named Mumbo that transforms you into different animals with a set of abilities to take you on your respected levels. Speaking of levels, this game has some great ones. From a haunted mansion to a season-themed level changing from winter all the way to summer, there's lots to enjoy here. This game's main lasting appeal was its solid gameplay and charming character design and the voices. Truly something only Rare in its heyday could pull off so well. Banjo didn't appear first in this game, however, as he was in Diddy Kong Racing a few years earlier. When I was a kid and was playing Diddy Kong, I would have never guessed this redneck bear would get his own game. I remember rumors of Pixie getting one possibly, which I hated the sounds of that, but I had no idea it would actually be Banjo. And thank God it was. Now that you're somewhat familiar with who the characters are and what game they come from, let's take a trip down history and go over all the games they've been in and what major turns these characters have taken over the years. Seeing as this game is considered better than Mario 64 and the best N64 game by many, there must be an interesting story as to why it's taken this long for him to get into Smash. And well, yeah, that's quite the tell. Banjo and Kazooie was released in the year 1998, after first being named Project Dream and starring a human character named Edison. Dream was in development for 16 months on the Super Nintendo, and it was when they saw an early build of Mario 64 and a Conker game that never came out that they changed the direction of the game entirely and scrapped Dream. They started working on Banjo and Kazooie in March of '97 after first changing the human character to a rabbit and then the bear we all know and love today. With game director Greg Mills and music composer Grant Kirkhope, they wanted characters to appeal to a younger audience, yet have the humor and attitude to appeal to an older as well. Kazooie was made when they realized Banjo's double jump just didn't make sense, and when he didn't get around very fast, they needed a way to make him faster. At first, he simply had a backpack with legs, but they quickly changed that to the smart-mouthed bird, Kazooie. Mumbles was chosen over talking simply because they didn't want to hurt the player's image of the characters. The witch Gruntilda was based off a British TV show called Groat Bags. Both multiplayer and Stop and Swap was planned for the game, but they both wouldn't make it in, Stop and Swap seeing a return in the 2008 December release of 4J Studios' Banjo Kazooie for the Xbox Live. We'll be talking more about Xbox soon. This would allow you to use eggs and the ice key for new abilities in Tooie, such as Dragon Kazooie and the Kazooie Slam. Banjo and Kazooie finished development in June 29th of '98, with positive scores all around, such as Nintendo Power's 9.2, IGN's 9.6, and GameStop at 9.5. It was overall the 10th best-selling Nintendo 64 title at 3,650,000, only under Diddy Kong Racing at 4,880,000. Due to the game's praise, a second in the series started development right away and was released in November of 2000 to mixed praise. This was due to the bigger is better mindset, at least according to the Rare developers. I wouldn't agree on this though, as though I'm a bigger fan of the first, the second is a very good game. The game wasn't like the first in the sense that it was no longer a linear experience. Levels involved a lot of backtracking and worlds being connected in some form or another. No more just focusing on one level at a time and moving on. They wanted you to take your time, explore, and come back multiple times to each location. If this appeals to you, then great. If not, then I understand the split. Banjo-Tooie was the 33rd best-selling N64 title at 1,490,000. Okay, so here's where things start to get a little tricky. Rare, as we all know, wasn't owned by Nintendo. I know, this can be confusing, and even to them, they couldn't understand why Nintendo never bought them. Rare would continue making games for Nintendo for a few more years to come, and even many games in the works for the GameCube, including Donkey Kong Racing and, well, Banjo 3, as shown in a Space World concept trailer. But one of the only few that would see the light of day would be Star Fox Adventures Dinosaur Planet, a game with extremely mixed reactions across the board and would end up being one of the last Rare games to be seen on a Nintendo home console. Now, I'm sure you can tell by now, but Banjo was pretty much considered one of the top dogs for the Nintendo 64 days. So even Sakurai himself stated in an interview in June of this year that their inclusion would have been natural. Now, Melee came out in December 3rd of 2001, but Star Fox was in September 23rd of 2002. That's pretty close, so honestly, I can see why the buyout being so soon, that their appearance would no longer be in the cards. Activision would be the first one to try to buy out Rare, but apparently along the way there was a disagreement and they chose other directions. It was September 24th of 2002 that Microsoft purchased Rare for $375 million. Rare then became a first-party developer for Microsoft's Xbox and would go on to buy games such as Conker's Bad Fur Day, Killer Instinct, and of course, Banjo. This news was extremely shocking for me and Steve at the time because we wasn't sure if this meant Star Fox and Donkey Kong was now owned by Xbox as well. Thankfully, this was not the case. No offense to current-day Rare. Conker would see some love on the original Xbox and have a remake of his Bad Fur Day title on June 21st of 2005. But with a few more censorship rules attached surprisingly. But Banjo wouldn't see anything but 2 Game Boy Advance titles for the foreseeable years to come. Xbox didn't care about the portable game market and would allow Rare to make as many Game Boy Advance titles as they seen fit. The rules would affect them, however, as they could no longer use Nintendo IPs such as Diddy Kong or Star Fox to make their games, making the Game Boy Advance title they were currently working on, Diddy Kong Pilot, change over to Banjo Pilot, releasing on January 12th of 2005. It was a Mario Kart Super Circuit type game, but with planes. Not a terrible game, but nothing more to note here. The other title was Grunty's Revenge, releasing on September 12th of 2003. The story of this game took place between the first 2 games, starring Grunty's robot build of Gruntilda kidnapping Kazooie and going through time. You must go through time to save her. The game shared a style that seemed to be very fitting of that of Project Dream. Kind of makes you think if they just didn't have that game in mind when they made it and they just wanted to see how it actually would have done if it had have released. Finally, in 2008, Banjo would see some action on the Xbox 360 in the form of Banjo Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. This game was yet again another mixed reaction with scores like 8.5 from GameSpot and 8.3 from IGN. Fans tend to hate it because it takes away your moves you learned from bottles on the previous 2 games and forces a crafting vehicle mechanic on you and just gives you a wrench for Kazooie. It's not an awful game, but if you were expecting a Banjo title like the 64 ones, well, the game clearly tells you right from the get-go that's not what you're gonna get here, and you best deal with it. Okay, probably not that harshly, but with some lighthearted jokes, it states it pretty clearly. Okay, so now that we know his history with Nintendo and why Nintendo fans might have wanted him in Smash for all as long as Melee, let's get into the Smash side of things some more. Super Smash Bros. Brawl would see the first stages of Banjo popping up on message boards such as Insider. It wouldn't receive much attention though at the time, as the buyout had just been pretty recent, and no one really thought it really possible that Banjo could get in Smash anymore. But with characters like Snake and Sonic being added to the mix, third-party characters, a slight hope did start to arise, but still, there was little to no belief that it would ever actually happen. So years went by and the next Smash for Nintendo Wii U was announced to have the first ever DLC character ballot, meaning anything went, and with Phil Spencer, the head of Xbox, even stating that he would be completely okay with Banjo showing up in Smash, hopes was at an all-time high. Many fan-made ballots at the time had him at the top 10 spots easy, but somehow it would miss us again. Banjo just never seemed like he would return home at this point. We had lost our awesome uncle forever. But then it happened. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, with the slogan, Everybody is here. Next thing we knew, leak after leak was hitting us with Banjo being in Smash, but others claiming that the Microsoft rep would be Steve from Minecraft. But then the infamous Grinch leak happened that would take place on October 21st of 2018. An image from a Snapchat. It was a promotional material for Smash Bros. And the Grinch 2018 movie, hence the Grinch leak was born. This image would show the Everybody Is Here banner, but with unconfirmed characters like the Chorus Kids, Gino, Isaac, Ken, Shadow, and yes, our very own Banjo and Kazooie. This leak was so believable that many fans, including myself, was like 90% sure this leak was the real deal, causing many heated debates online. Eric Bricard was the name listed with that picture, and fans were quick to find his LinkedIn page stating that he worked for a French company named Marana PLV. Marana PLV's website lists Bandai Namco as one of the companies that they have worked with in the past. Many believe this proved the link to Smash, as Bandai had helped make the last title. November 21st, 2018, it would be proven false with the Nintendo Direct showing the character Incineroar, debunking the leak entirely. Fans were heartbroken, but then again, a DLC pack was announced. It would contain 5 characters and would be releasing throughout the year of 2019. But on May 31st, Grant Kirkhope says, "Don't hold your breath for Banjo," making fans start to wonder if hope was ever worth having in the first place. And then the fateful day happened. On June 11th, 2019, Banjo and Kazooie were confirmed to be the 4th DLC character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Grant states that back in January, Nintendo had asked him if he wanted to work on a song for them, and at the time, he had absolutely no clue it would be Banjo for Smash, and wouldn't find out until February. His son did manage to get it out of him though, as he was heavily into Smash himself, but did manage to keep the secret for his father. He had considered songs for Mad Monster Mansion and Treasure Trove Cove, but he went with Spiral Mountain in the end because he felt like it was more recognizable for the fans. And there you have it, guys. Banjo in Smash. We have made it after this many years of waiting for him to come home. He is home. And I hope that it's here to stay. Microsoft, Nintendo, if you're listening to the fans at all, let's get a collaboration going. Remake, 3, it doesn't matter. Either way you go, this series has potential, and I think the fans have proven this time and time again. And now, if ever, our voices have been heard. This has been Weekend Moblin. I really appreciate your guys' time. I appreciate you, Sakurai, for everything you've done. If you guys like what you've seen, give us a like, a subscribe. It would go a long way to help the channel. Till then, tune in next time, guys.
You